How can we feel more peace? How can we access more feelings of wholeness in life, right? I think a lot of us are subconsciously asking this question. It's subconsciously seeking out ways to be happier, ways to be at peace on the inside, right? But also be fulfilled on the outside. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of psychosynthesis, and we're going to talk about how you can use that concept as a tool in your life to excavate the parts of your mind that are holding you back from these things, and then how to also use this to create and mold and shape a core identity that is just self-loving, self-caring, just beautiful. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the Inner Alchemy Podcast, where your shadows come out to play and things done in the dark comes to the light. I'm your host, Markia Robinson. Let's embark on this journey of self-exploration and self-healing together through the art of inner alchemy. What's going on today, alchemists? I hope you are feeling well today. If you are new to the show, welcome. Here on the Inner Alchemy Podcast, we dive into dark and uncomfortable conversations to shine light on our inner darkness so that we can learn how to thrive and heal. So today, I want to talk about psychosynthesis. And psychosynthesis is a therapeutic concept. It's an approach in the therapy space that practitioners use to help individuals take control over the process of changing their identity and changing the blueprint of themselves that they have on the inside and allowing them to integrate the other parts of them that we would consider their shadow, right? We would consider their darkness. So I'm going to talk about the concept of psychosynthesis, and then we're going to touch on some tips. So psychosynthesis, or the concept of psychosynthesis, was created by an Italian psychoanalyst by the name of Roberto Assagioli. I hope I said that right, but you can look him up. In the early 1900s was when he was alive. So this is like post even Maslow for some context, post Freud as well, I believe. So he used the concepts from these philosophers, from these experts, to help shape and mold the concept of psychosynthesis. And for those of y'all who don't know me, I am a philosopher junkie. I love listening to Alan Watts. I love reading Carl Jung. I love reading Sigmund Freud. I love all of those because they just give you so much insight and so much material on the inner space and how to actually interact with those different parts of yourself. So in this concept, one of the core or foundational principles of this idea is that we are not just one thing. We are not just one personality, just one whole entity. You are a summation of hundreds of different parts. You are a collective. If you think about your body is the summation of a bunch of different parts. You have a bunch of different organs and you have a bunch of different limbs and body parts and stuff that all have their own functioning. So you're not just your ear, you're not just your nose, you're not just your finger, but you are all of those things together. Your psyche and your identity is the exact same. Your external life, your body, your life, all of those things are a reflection of your internal space. We've talked about as above, so below. So understand that your mind is comprised of a ton of different versions of yourself that all have different opinions, different beliefs, different wants, different preferences, different wounds, all of that. And so one of the visuals used for this concept is an egg. And in the center of an egg is, we'll put a blue dot in the center of the egg. That is what we would call your core identity. That is who you think you are. And this falls in what they would call the conscious space. So this is the part of your mind that you are aware of. This is the part of your mind where your everyday awareness is. They also refer to this as the middle unconscious, I believe, when you're reading up on this topic. But yeah, this is where your core identity is. That's essentially what we're talking about when I say middle unconscious. Above that, so the top part of the egg, is the higher unconscious. So this would be also referred to as your golden shadow. All of the good parts of you, all of the confidence and joy and compassion and love and all that other parts of you that are seen as light. That would be the higher part. The lower part of the egg is what we label the lower unconscious. So these are the primal parts of you. These are the archaic parts of you. And these are also where your complexes are held. Your subconscious beliefs, your subconscious complexes, like the victim complex, the people pleaser, the inner saboteur, all of those things are in the lower unconscious. So if you think about an egg and how you can split it into thirds and put a dot in the middle, the visual that this scientist was giving, Roberto was giving, when he created this concept. And this visual is beautiful because it shows you how your mind actually operates. Like we talked about in the last episode number 4, you are always in motion, all the parts of you, which means your mind oscillates between or swings between these 3 stages, these 3 parts of the egg, so to speak. So there are moments where you're in the higher unconscious and you feel like you're more aligned with your higher self. Oh, I just feel more at peace. I just feel more loving. I just feel more focused, more successful, more whatever it is for you. And then there is the middle unconscious, which is our everyday mundane awareness. And then the lower unconscious, where we swing on the opposite end, is when we get into that anxiety and that depression and the negative beliefs and stories and unconscious thoughts and all of that comes up. So we are constantly oscillating between these 3 parts of our psyche. And if we aren't aware of this, not only do you feel like you can't control your mind, you just feel crazy sometimes, but it's also hard for you to get into a space where you can create your identity consciously and intentionally. A lot of people can get caught in their victim complexes or their people pleaser complexes, and they don't know how to get out of that because they feel like they've been stuck there, or they feel like they don't have the tools to dig themselves out of that negative feeling space. But if you understand that you oscillate, all you have to do is be patient. Literally. I've been practicing this for a couple years now. So I understand that part of this is intentional focusing on the positive things that you want to create in your life. But the other part of that is just allowing the oscillation to take place. I'm in a dark night of the soul. I feel depressed. I feel unmotivated. I feel tired. I feel all of my wounding, all of my shadows coming up to the surface. So I know at some point I'm going to oscillate and swing back to the other side of my psyche. So I'm going to gather all the gems from unconscious, my lower unconscious, that I can learn as much about this part of myself as I can, so that when I go back up to the higher unconscious and I have a broader, more holistic perspective, I can integrate those golden nuggets of information. So that is kind of how I've learned to use this concept of psychosynthesis to help me shape my identity and become a version of myself that I created on my own. I didn't let life create me. I didn't let other people create me. I created me. I got to choose my personality. I got to choose my likes and dislikes. I got to choose what I'm afraid of and what I'm not afraid of. I got to choose what I focus on and what I don't focus on. I got to choose my values and my morals and all of those things because I created them in real life on the external plane by changing my internal blueprint and changing the relationship between these 3 parts of my psyche. So let's get into how you can use this to not just grow personally and spiritually, but also create a life where you have more peace. You can receive more peace, more wholeness, more fulfillment, more success, even for those of you that want it. So I would say the first tip that I'm going to give you is start living by that concept that you are a collective. You are not just one thing. You are a summation of multiple different personalities. We are going to talk in a few episodes about archetypal integration. I do this by using what I call an inner council. So I will sit in my little meditation space and I will visualize me sitting with all of the different versions of myself at like a round table. And let's say we're talking through a problem. I have an issue in my life that I need to address. I'm going to listen to what the other different versions of me have to say. This is how you take those other different parts of you and start making them one. You start integrating them and meshing them together. Because now all the different parts of you have a voice. All of the different parts of you have a say in what decision is about to be made. You're not pushing away the parts of you that you think are bad or that are mean or that are rude. You're not pushing away the parts of you that think are silly or stupid. You're letting them all speak. So you can start doing this by labeling your subpersonalities, labeling the many faces of your psyche. So you have an inner child, you have an inner teen, you have an inner mother, an inner father, you have an inner what word am I looking for? Not a crone, but a wise woman or a wise man, depending on your gender. You have an inner teacher. You have an inner student. You have an inner warrior. You have archetypes that you can call on in this inner council to help you shape the identity that you're trying to create. So that is the first thing that I'm going to bring to this conversation. First is understand what archetypes is and how archetypal integration works, but then create a visualization of that all your own. You can make an inner council like me, or you can have a little FaceTime call in your head with your inner child, whatever works for you. But the inner council works for me because it just lays out all of my subpersonalities in front of me and allows me to see visually how they would interact. So I know this sounds a little psycho. So if you're in public, maybe you should put your headphones in so people don't look at you weird. Personalities, so many people you got in there. Those people that are judging you listening to this just don't understand how the psyche works. They don't understand that they are also cultivation, a collective, if you will, of subpersonalities. So once you understand that and you start using that to help you make decisions and help you create your identity, I'm telling you, a whole new level of empowerment comes into play. A whole new level of just expansion in how you feel about yourself and how you perceive yourself comes into play. Because, man, it just feels like you can tackle anything because you have the energies all within you working together. It's amazing. Best feeling in the world. 10 out of 10. So that is my first tip to you. Give the other parts of you the mic. Allow your inner counsel to speak before you make a choice. Don't just make a choice based on who you think you are now. Understand that you're not always happy. You're not always sad. You're not always angry. You're not always depressed. You're not always anxious. Tap into all of those parts of you and work together. The second tip I'm going to give to you is one that we talked about a little bit in the last episode. So if you haven't listened to episode 4 yet, check it out. But in that last episode, we talked about brainwashing yourself. We talked about using brainwashing in a positive way. You can consciously choose what beliefs you choose to believe. You can choose what beliefs you choose to focus on. And if you choose beliefs that can ignite your fire, that can drive you into positive action, then you're again, psychosynthesizing your identity. Let's say, for example, you want to become somebody who's more confident. Now you really feel very shy, very antisocial, very introverted, very disconnected from the social realm of your life. If you brainwash yourself to believe that you are the most social butterfly type energy that you've ever seen, and you find a way to live and take action from that energy, you're going to become that. Eventually, you're going to look up and be like, oh my God, I have all these friends. I have a great social life because I believed that I was a person that had a great social life. So I did things that helped me have a great social life. For another example would be, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to get in the best shape of my life. How do you do that? Well, I go to the gym and I diet and I drink water. And yes, you do that. But that stuff can get really boring, really quick. Get boring real quick. And so if you don't have a why that's big enough, that's deep enough, it's not going to light your fire up enough. And so on those days where it gets hard to get up and go to the gym, or it gets hard to eat the home cooked meal instead of going out and getting something from Longhorns or Chili's, those are the moments that tell you that you need to be brainwashing yourself around. We need to find a intention that is crazy enough to make me want to eat this chicken and rice, to make me want to get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. and feel fucking good about it. Brainwash yourself. And this works into psychosynthesis because you can use this as an exercise for developing your willpower with intention. And doing that is how you intentionally start chiseling and shaping your new identity. So that person who is brainwashing themselves to go to the gym and to eat the chicken and rice or do whatever is becoming a new version of themselves. They're becoming a version of themselves that loves chicken and rice, that loves crushing weights at the gym, that loves their pre-workout, that loves their post-recovery routine and all that bullshit. They're becoming that version of them, all because it started with the brainwashing. They found an intention big enough to ignite that fire within them. So use this concept to help you master that. You can find a intention that's wild, that's crazy, that's flamboyant enough, and then start letting that intention shape your identity. Let it chisel out the qualities that you need to have in order to sustain that new identity. The third tip or the third tool that we're going to add to this conversation is guided imagery or visualization. Yes, you could do guided meditations and stuff like that, but the only reason why I personally don't like doing those is because somebody else is helping you generate the picture. I personally want to see what my mind naturally generates on its own. So when I'm thinking about visualizing the sexiest, most confident version of me, and I'm trying to create that, I want to be the one to create that. I don't want anybody else's stuff, preferences, pictures, visualizations in my shit. So I'm going to focus on an intention going into this. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to relax my body. And then I'm going to focus on what I want to visualize. I want to be more confident. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel strong. I want to feel capable. What does that look like? And then I can observe how my brain is piecing together that version of me. And this allows you to deeper embody more of the energies and the qualities and the characteristics that are going into the new identity that you're creating. So you can use your visualization to start reenacting or copying, if you will, the visual expression that you got in your head. So like, let's say when I was meditating, going through this visualization, that I saw myself standing really tall with my chest out, and I was really outspoken, and it really wasn't hard for me to tell people how I feel and to set boundaries and do all those things. Now I have a blueprint. Now I have an example of how I want to operate in order to live out that identity. So now I can go do that. I can go walk and stand tall and put my chest out and practice being that and doing that and feeling what that feels like until it becomes normal. When it becomes your new normal, that's when you know you've become that new identity. And it may not be something you realize immediately. When you do have that epiphany moment, it's going to feel so good. I've had several of those where I was, oh my God, I've become the person I've always wanted to become. Let's freaking go. So it starts with that guided imagery. What do I want that to look like? How am I going to act that out? How am I going to play that out in my life? And then how am I going to reenact that? The last thing we're going to talk about is integrate psychosynthesis into your everyday life. Find ways to sit with your inner counsel and visualize and build your willpower and develop your intention, your brainwashing. You have to create space for these things. It's very easy to get caught up in the clouds and start mentally and emotionally and internally doing these things. But on the external physical side of things, you have to actually create time and space in your schedule to do this. Like in the morning, I have 10 minutes set aside to visualize and to meditate. What do I want my day to look like? How do I want my feelings to be like? What do I want my body to feel like today? How do I want my tasks to get done today? How is that all going to play out? I visualize that. And then I wouldn't say it's about 10 minutes. I do this while I walk. So I'm walking and listening to music as I do this, but I'm also tapping into my inner counsel and how they want to feel and what they want their day to look like and all the things they want to accomplish. And I compare and contrast. I feel like we're all looking for the same things today. We really want to feel strong, so we're going to do a workout. We really want to feel connected, so we're going to go be of service. We're going to go help somebody live a good life. We're going to go improve their life in some way or help them. We're going to want to feel safe, so I need to do some things to calm my nervous system and regulate. I want to feel loved, so I need to spend quality time with my wife. I need to do all of those things today. We good? Yes? The inner counsel has spoken. It's a go. I hope that was helpful, you guys. Start integrating this into your everyday life, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day. And I promise you, not only will you look at yourself differently and will you change the relationship you have with yourself, but you'll also be interacting with other people differently. When I talk to the people in my circle and people in my life now, we've talked about our inner worlds enough to understand what those labels mean. So I'll be like, is your inner child talking right now? I feel like I hear your inner critic is on the mic. Cool. I'd be like, oh, your inner teacher is really going ham right now. Like she just got something she wanted to say. Okay, I got you. So when you start noticing how the archetypes within you are speaking and how they're moving, you will see that in other people as well. It's life-changing. But the main purpose of me bringing this topic to you guys was to help you start creating your own identity. Stop letting the world, stop letting the people around you, stop letting your parents and stuff decide for you who you are and who you want to be and how you want to express yourself in the world and how you want to show up. You can literally become anything you want, literally. And here's how you do it. So Drop a black heart in the comments if you made it all the way to the end. Let me know if you are a diehard alchemist. You know how it is. Oh, I'm such a goofball. But yeah, I hope you guys liked today's talk. I hope it was insightful. For those of you listening to the audio version of this, definitely leave me a review and subscribe to the channel so you can get all the episodes. I post a new one every other Tuesday. So that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and we will talk again in a couple of weeks. That's it for today, alchemists. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Inner Alchemy. If you found value in today's talk, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at inneralchemy_podcast. You can also email me at theinneralchemypodcast@gmail.com. If you're looking for free resources and more information on my coaching services, check the description box below. Until next time, let your inner lights shine the way in times of healing your inner darkness.